Российско-Африканский общественный форум – это действительно очень важное событие, где мы обсуждаем большое количество насущных стратегических вопросов сотрудничества России и африканского континента. Но, пожалуй, первый раз, когда тема форума – это общество.
Считаю предельно необходимым сегодня по максимуму задействовать возможности народной, культурной, бизнес-дипломатии в интересах углубления и расширения традиционно дружественных, взаимовыгодных связей между Россией и государствами Африки. Хотел бы также искренне поблагодарить организаторов нынешнего форума, НКО «Союз Африканская деловая инициатива», Всемирную ассоциацию выпускников российских вузов. Желаю вам успешной работы и спасибо за внимание.
And I would like to pass the floor to Africa, giving the floor to Valeria Bian, special representative of the President of Burkina Faso for the CIS countries, co-owner of YELI Technology Africa, co-founder of AgroPro Burkina Faso, board member of Africa Business Initiative. Valerie is a person who works in Africa and with Africa. For instance, Burkina Faso. Tell us, please. You have a multifaceted experience. On the one hand, you're a member of the board of directors and you are managing the companies which are operational in Africa. On the other hand, you are setting up a cooperation with the CIS countries. What is going on the continent? How can we integrate into that sustainable development? What is required? Over to you. Thank you so much, Natalia. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad to be present at that August meeting, although I'm present online. Today, we mark a big step in the development of the Russian-African relations, and with no exaggeration, this is a little leapfrog. A forum arranged amid the pandemic. This is really a big step forward, and this happened after the summit meeting in Sochi, after the rise of hopes and aspirations in Africa, African businesses, and the youth. I will speak on behalf of the African business. Just like 2 years ago, I'd like to stress once again the relevance of the topic at hand. In Sochi, we spoke a lot that Africa needs specific actions. I liked very much the call of our colleague, Gabriel Kachoba, who called on triggering specific mechanisms in Africa. This is really very important. In that case, I would like to stress the importance of integration of the Russian technologies for the sake of the sustainable development of the African nations. As is now, African nations are interested in the development of the local companies. And we are limited by the education. As a person who is working in an African company and with African companies, we have a shortage of skilled workers. As far as smart and business-minded people cannot get high-quality education. We speak about internet and access to internet. This is something we can discuss for hours, and certainly we are very much interested in the development of the local business. I'd like to extend an appeal to the Russian companies and institutes which may support the available African businesses, providing necessary technologies, transferring the technologies. I do believe that it will help to set a good foundation for the Russian-African relations, and therefore the African businesses would find it easier to go hand in hand with Russian business. And today, everyone realizes that the real assistance to Africa, this is not about humanitarian aid, but rather perception of or treating the continent as a partner. You'd rather provide us with the necessary technologies to support the businesses, bearing in mind the cultural features of certain countries there. As been said, at the Sochi summit meeting, Russian-African relations should be a win-win. I'd like to stress a very good phrase said at the first session that development rests on the communication. In the context of the Russian-African relations, this phrase is very multifaceted. Communications are really very important for the efficient work of the business in Africa. We can see the difference in the mentality, even within one country. There are multiple historical reasons for that. Certain tribes are belligerent, but other, for instance, tribes can be quite friendly. Understanding the situation and a conscious approach to selection of the stuff may be the key behind the success of your work. And there is a lot of pessimism about Africa that's been voiced more than once today. This pessimism is due to several factors, but despite that, in the context of our topic, I'd like to stress the importance of a strong local partner when you work with any country as a representative of the party which works in Africa, with Africa, as a representative of an African company. I can only reiterate that. What I want to tell you, this is a question not of global relations. This is a quite practical issue. I'd like to draw one example. My company, Agroprom, in the framework of supplying goods to Burkina Faso, and you know that this is a landlocked country, our country received cargo in different port countries. For instance, Ghana, according to an agreement between Ghana and Burkina Faso, 80% of the trucks and lorries have to be registered in Burkina Faso. This has been regulated by the local trade unions. No logistics company in Ghana, as of 2 years ago and as of 1 year ago, notified our workers about that. But when we asked the question, really, 70% of trucks and lorries have to be registered in Burkina Faso. Actually, they confirmed that, but they did not assure us that it would be like that. Certainly, the cost of Ghanese trucks and lorries was exaggerated, although it can be lower amid the pandemic. Without a strong communication with the local representative and a strong local partner, a company may face huge problems at the border between Ghana and Burkina Faso, because usually this would be the pricing policy which would matter mostly. And as a result, we had a lot of problems with lots of Ghana trucks and lorries, and there are lots of such cases as well. I can speak hours about them. But my message is, it is very important to have a strong local partner who is knowledgeable of all the factors in this or that region. Russian and other businesses usually look at the legislative base and regulations. Africa has its own specific features, and you do not have to be afraid of that. But you have to know that in order to work on our continent. Thank you so much for your time. Natalia, over to you. Thank you so much, Valerie. In essence, you have touched upon a very important question. Why I like it very much that we have such a multilateral conversation, because, for instance, you mentioned several very important things. First of all, this is about partnership. Partnership, one of the key things at the Russian-African Summit, that Russia looks at Africa as a partner. And certainly would like that in this partnership, we see the aspiration to create something. Africa needs more or less, but less needs humanitarian aid or some donations. Africa has to develop. Africa has to develop its domestic resources, human resources. resources of the domestic economy. And quite recently, a Pan-African free trade agreement has been signed. And unfortunately, right now, it's been affected by the economic crisis. But I'm sure that the African nations will manage to promote that agenda. At the summit, at the Eurasian Economic Commission's session, we said that we have an experience of integration processes, integrative processes. We're ready to share this case with you. We're ready to share the resources with you. You're absolutely right. And this partnership implies interaction between skilled Russian partners and African partners who know everything about doing business in Africa. I think that on the basis of this win-win cooperation, such business has to be developed. And I know that this is very much required by Africa, and there are lots of companies willing to do that. We are not looking at Africa as we used to do 20 years ago. There are companies which are ready to be co-partners, core founders in any area such as agriculture, for instance. Stay with us.